Hello, everyone. It's been a minute. Been a minute. This one will be slightly different than the majority of my videos. It'll be more about, it's going to be just, and not more about, just about me and my journey from the beginning till today. Because I realize everybody's journey is going to be different because everybody's lives are different. So at the time of this video being recorded, I'm 56 years old. And so I'm gonna go back to around early 40s, around 42, when I was a computer engineer, making six figures, doing the normal 40-hour work week plus, right? But computer engineers work way more than that because I thought salary was better than hourly, which I was really, really wrong. But anyway, I remember one day I came home after work, going to the gym like I normally did after work, but this time it was different. Uh, Something inside of me was like, is this going to be my life? Getting off work, go to the gym, go home, and go home straight from home. I mean, straight to home from work, and go to the gym 3, 4 times a week, and do that all the way till retirement, whatever retirement age is that our United States determines when the age you can retire, which just sounds bananas to me today, but it's crazy to believe. I used to believe retirement was an age, but anyway, I remember asking God, I'm like, what am I missing? I'm missing something, God. I'm missing something. And what it was, he showed me that I was in debt. I'm a fast forward to a lot of this because I've been talking about this for quite a while, but I was in debt and I didn't own anything, not even myself. My whole life was determined by a job. Think of a I always picture this analogy. I think of a tree and the trunk with all the branches and the leaves and everything. All the branches and leaves were part of my life, my car, house, bills, stuff that I might have financed, everything. And the trunk was my job. Once the trunk is severed, the whole thing crashes. Everything is done, right? And I remember I used to think about that when I was back then before I got out of debt. But when I asked God, I was like, "Can you show me what am I missing?" Because I didn't know what I was missing, right? I just thought this was life. This is the way it was. But he took me to my credit report and said my credit report was my papers. They were my debt slave papers. Now I didn't know this at the time, but that was my debt slave papers. And all the businesses listed on my credit report were my owners. And then once I paid all those people off, I freed myself. And I freed myself what is called the debt matrix. And the debt matrix is a single perspective of capitalism. Now, getting out of debt, getting to zero was the doorway for me to exit the debt matrix, to exit something I was born in, something I didn't even know I was in, something I didn't know I was part of. I was in the debt matrix. I was born in the debt matrix perspective and didn't even know it. I didn't own anything. It's crazy to think about today. I didn't own nothing. I didn't own myself. Everything was determined about my job. My job was my only way I was going to live life. And once I freed myself, that's when everything opened up for me. Now, at that time, I didn't know I was leaving a perspective of capitalism. I didn't know, because now that I've exited, there's an unlimited amount of perspectives of capitalism. Capitalism is an illusion. I didn't know that until I exited. But now, once I freed myself, now I might be jumping all over the place because this is how my life went. Once I freed myself, there was another part in my life to where I would get in throughout my life. I would get into these relationships with women, right? But the women I would get in relationships with, when if they didn't work out, these women, not all of them, but a lot of them, the majority of them, wanted to destroy me for some odd reason. To just simply, like, not a simple breakup. Hey, hey, 1 second, I got to drink something. Not just a simple breakup and say you go your way and I go my way. These women wanted to destroy me. So I asked God again. I said, God, what is the problem? Why is this happening? I don't want to destroy the women I break up with. I don't want their lives to ruin, but they wanted mine ruined. And I swear to you, every time I ask God directly these questions, this is what happened. So what happened, I met this particular woman, and I thought, I thought our lives were going to grow together and, you know, uh, be prosperous. But what I found out, she was a narcissist. Now, I all my life I always heard about narcissists, and you really don't, if you've never experienced one, you don't know. But anyway, I was in a relationship, and this narcissist was the most. This woman was the most horrible person in my life that I have ever met. She literally wanted me gone, unalived. Now these are stories that I used to always watch on videos. These true life stories, but I was in one. And while I was in this relationship, it was like it was horrible, but there were many good things that I learned within it. It was like an equal balance, right? It was a learning lesson, because when I met this woman, I had this bad taste in my mouth with she had a young son. All right, her son was about 4 at the time I met her, right? But throughout my kid raising experience, it was not good. The women that I had children by, 2 women, they just were, regardless if we broke up, they were so focused on me, they were not focused on our children, raising them properly. Like we it was fine that we were not together. That's cool, but they were so focused on me, it turned out bad for my boys because there was nothing I could do. They would come with me. I wouldn't talk bad about the mothers, because why? Why would I do that, right? But then when they would go home, that's all they heard, bad things about dad. No matter how good I was there, providing and do it just did not matter. So it really affected them. So I had this bad taste in my mouth at first, right? But when I met this particular narcissistic woman, her son and we had a strong energy bond. That's the best way I can explain it. At first, when I met him, I was like, "Oh boy, how's this gonna work?" But it was different. I was older now, because when I had my children, I was in my 20s. But now, when I met this woman, I was in my 40s. I was 47 to be exact, right? So I had more knowledge and patience, and just a whole different. I was just in a different space in my life, and our connection was very, very strong. It was unexplainable strong, right? And it it stopped the way I was thinking about, you know, women with children by other men and all this other stuff. It was he he helped me as much as I helped him in this particular time in my life. And so I got to learn about narcissistic women, people, not just women, people, and it got rid of that bad taste out of my mouth. And I realized it was not just the women I had children by, it was me. I didn't have the knowledge to be more uh, thoughtful, and knowledge to think like it's a major decision to decide to have children. Not only have to have children, who to have them with. It's not just, oh, the sex is good, let's have a relationship and have kids. No, it's not. It's nothing like that at all. Nothing, right? Anyway, when I was in this relationship with the narcissist, it was so bad. I call it the narcissistic fog, right? Where inside the narcissistic fog, Everything that I did not want in a relationship, it was in there, and I accepted it because I was caught up in with feelings and sex and everything tied up in there. And I was so deep, I didn't know how to get out because I didn't know what I was in. I never understood what a narcissist was, what the narcissistic fog. I didn't know why I was accepting all this abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, cheating, and I was just accepting it. And I didn't know why I was accepting it. So one day I had to ask God, I was like, God, can you help me out of this relationship? Help me out of this relationship because I didn't, I knew I was, it was bad for my health. It was bad for my mental health, physical health. Everything was going downhill, and I didn't know what to do because everything was tied up. We created a business together. All our money was together. I lived in her house, away from. I was living in another state with her in her house. I was out of my environment. This is what narcissists do. I didn't know this at the time. They pull the person out of their environment, get them, alienate them from all their friends and family, and then they have full control over you. But of course, I didn't know that because I didn't know truly understand narcissists. But anyway, I asked God to get me out. And one day, my mother was coming out of surgery back in the state where I originally lived. And, I love my mother very much. So and she needed help. My sister needed help with her for her recovery. And so I flew out. I was going to stay a month in where I originally lived. And then I was going to come back, right? But little did I know, once I flew out, when I got there, about maybe a couple of weeks in, when I was there when I was back in my home state, original home state, God told me I wasn't going back. It was wild. When He said, "Hey, you asked me to get you out, and I got you out." And then once I got back, He told me I wasn't going back. I cried, and it's crazy. I cried and everything, right? And I remember when He told me, I was sitting in a chair in the backyard of my sister's house where I was staying to help my mother recover. And I remember He told me to go out to by the tree, pull up a chair by the tree, and I was touching the tree. I'm just listening to God. I don't know why I was touching the tree, but I was touching the tree. And then that's when He told me, and I was crying really bad. And then when I was crying so hard, I was bent over into my lap in the chair, crying hard when He told me I wasn't going back, right? And then it was like God was right behind me. He picked me up, and then we were both looking at myself crying in the chair, and God told me, He said, if we're both looking at you crying in the chair, who's that crying in the chair? That was my ego death, what is called ego death. The person that was crying in the chair was my ego that was covering me my whole entire life. He was covering me. I didn't know He was covering me, but He was covering me, and He was crying. Don't And the only reason why I was crying in this chair, He was crying that I discovered the ego, and it's the ego. I don't really call it the ego death. I call it, because you need ego. He was crying because I could see him now. I could see it. And at the time, even when God picked me up and said, "Who's that crying in the chair?" At that particular time, I didn't know that was the ego crying because I discovered him. I will never forget that moment. Never forget it. And then even when I finally made the decision, and I told the narcissist back home, like, I'm not coming back, because everything was there. The narcissist thought, and I did too. When I left, I had intentions on coming back. I didn't know I was not coming back. I did not know that. But when I told the narcissist that I was not coming back, she didn't believe me for the first week or two, because I told her so many times that I was going to break up with her and leave her. And many people go through this, but it took about a couple of weeks for her to realize, of me not calling, not me responding to any of her text messages, because I did complete cutoff. Once I made the decision, no more, no more contact, no more phone contact. I dwindled it down to email only, and then that's when she realized that I wasn't coming back. She was sending emails and crying voicemails, and just and it's all fake. For a narcissist, the only reason why a narcissist will cry like that because they lost control. They're not crying. She wasn't crying for me. She wasn't crying that I was not coming back to her and anything like that. She was crying because she lost control of me and there was nothing she could do because I was in a whole nother state. She couldn't do anything. And so after a while, she realized I wasn't coming back, and then she came back about maybe about a month. She was back to her normal self, just saying bad things and sending bad. I knew it was all fake. It was all fake, but I didn't care at that time because I was away from her. So it took me about maybe another couple of months. I went down and got all my stuff, and I didn't interact with her at all. Everything was packed up, and I just went down and got my stuff and drove it back to the state I was living in. After that was over, uh, that that relationship traumatized me so bad. I just stopped dating. I didn't date. I stopped having sex. I stopped taking care of myself. Satisfying myself. Nothing. I stopped everything. I didn't know what was happening when I just didn't have she had sucked all the energy out of me to where I didn't have no desire to do any of that. I have no energy I only had enough energy to help myself. So once I stopped all that stuff, I realized that there was another lesson in there that God showed me. Uh, I became unaddicted from the drug of sex. I became unaddicted, something that I didn't even know I was addicted to because I thought it was normal. I thought it was normal. And once I became unaddicted, I realized the power of transmuting sexual energy into creativity. As a man, to be no longer addicted to it and no longer seduced by it, it's empowering. I can't really explain it, but it doesn't control me like that. I don't really, I will see a beautiful woman, but I don't have the strong desire. Oh, I want to have sex with her. No, because I don't even know what's upstairs in her mind. I don't. I look at it this way now. I don't know it. Though men don't really understand this, but I now understand it. It's very important to know how a woman's sexual life started. I don't know the purpose of her purpose of having sex. I don't know, but I only know mine. And now I say it's sacred to me. I don't do it willy nilly. I haven't done it in years, and it doesn't bother me. I don't even think about it really. It was now this was forced upon me from the outcome of the narcissistic relationship. Or else this would have never happened ever. I would have never done it in a million years. Just stop having sex. That would have never happened. Once I gained that power back, uh, I started asking God other questions. I like, okay, what else is there? I'm looking. I started looking for more and more peace in my life. So what He started doing was removing all the negative people in my life. People that I had friends for years that were pretending to be my friends, but they wasn't really my friends. And I could tell. I could tell during I had a particular friend that I thought we were close, but I noticed, and these are little signs that you can use to try to pick out these so-called friends, right? I had a particular friend that I thought we were pretty close, like brothers, but I noticed like on Facebook, right? We would talk normally on the phone all the time, but if I made a post or something about what I was doing or something I was succeeding at, I noticed that he would never comment, he would never like it, he would never say anything, right? And then when I talked to him on the phone, we would talk about, he'd be like, oh yeah, I saw your post. And I'm like, how come you? But I would see him comment on all his other friends' stuff, but just not mine. But I'm not a social media person. I'm like, okay, maybe he just doesn't do it. So I would go on, when he posts something that he bought or some kind of vacation, I would go in there, comment, like all the time because he was my friend. I just do it. Not that out of obligation, but I noticed that he would never ever do mine ever, and I thought that was weird for years, right? So finally, I remember I thought to myself, I said, okay, I'm gonna come up with let me tell him something about me being excited about something coming up. So I text him. I was like, "Hey man, this is coming up. I'm about to do this and it's about to be big." Do you know he didn't respond at all? Nothing. And then when he finally texted me days later, he totally ignored what I sent him in the text. I knew at that point he had to be removed. I removed him immediately. No, I didn't explain anything to him. I didn't say anything to him. I just blocked him. I just blocked him. God was telling me, He was guiding me to remove these family and friends, these people out of my life, period, because He knew they would destroy what I was trying to build. I would never get true peace with them in my life. Now, we we always in the United States, we grow up, oh, family's everything. You got to stick with family. No, if the type of love I have for people, they got to reciprocate that same type of love, or else they get no love from me. That's how it is. Period. Right. So I removed him, and then when I got back, when I was down there in South Carolina, I with the narcissist, her and I created a business together. On top of that, many good things came out from that horrible relationship. A lot more good things, right? But except just her. So once we broke up, I came back to where I lived and created my same business, but just different from the one we had there. I just created my own, right? And I came back, and now I have a sister that's 3.5 years younger than I, right? Her and I have been close since before, long that I can remember as young children, right? Just we're just close, period, right? Never had a fight, never argued, never disrespected each other, never raised our voices, and never ever. So I trusted her with my life. We got along well. We lived together. I lived with her in our house so many times because we got along really good. But so when I got back, I said, what better way can I repay my sister for helping me all these lives, all these time, you know? And when I come back and live with her in her house, I said, let me create this business and make her 50-50 partner. Because what else? I love my sister, loved her, right? I didn't even think about it twice. But once I did it, I said, okay. And then, I started up the business. It took me about 2 or 3 months to start up the business. And then I said, okay, hey, you ready to, because with this business it was doing good, she could quit her job and just work with me full time, right? We could just do it together, right? But she was like, oh, I'm not ready to do it yet. And I'm like, okay, I understand people scared to quit their job. So I gave her a little bit of time, but I noticed she wasn't making an effort to migrate herself from her job into this business. But then at the same time, she still wanted 50% of the profits. And I thought to myself, there's no, okay, I know she's not thinking that way. This is what I'm thinking in my mind. I know my sister's not thinking that I'm going to allow that because that would be using me, right? So I sat her down. I said, hey, again, we've never fought. So I said, okay, it's that, you know what? I said, it sounds like you're not ready right now. I don't know why. She's probably scared. I wasn't really even mad at her that she was, but I noticed she still wanted 50% of the profit. I just wasn't having that. So I said, okay, you know, uh, we'll revisit this. I'm gonna just pull your name off of the business, and then I'm gonna just put it back fully in my name. And then when you're ready, we'll revisit this. And she told me, no, I'm not. I'm not taking my name off, and you got to get out of my house. I remember this feeling came through my body when she was talking to me like that. I was like, okay, she's not, she doesn't really mean that. I was in doubt. I was in doubt about it. I was like, no, she just mad. She's not really. We're gonna talk about this in the morning. I'm not, because it reminded me of the narcissist that I just left. Now let's take it back so you guys understand this with you got siblings like this, okay? My sister was she was a she was a horrible, conniving, lying cheater to men, boyfriends she was with, and even her own friends. She would do her own friends dirty, right? But I thought to myself, well, she's my sister and she's never done me wrong. Well, she just gonna do them wrong. But if I thought about it, it was just a matter of time before it was my turn. And this was the trigger. And I remember I remember she was supposed to sign this paper so she can take her name off the business. And I remember she left for like 2 weeks and stayed over her boyfriend's house for like 2 weeks, trying to ignore me. Or I thought it was weird. I'm like, I'm at your house. Eventually, you got to come back so we can talk. So I remember about 2 or 3 weeks in, I got a knock. There was a knock at the door, and I went to the door, and it was the police with a thick stack of paperwork talking about you got to get out. Your sister's terrified of her life from you. I was like, what? I looked at the officers. I was like, "Are you sure you got the right house? Because my sister and I have never had a fight in our lives. Are you sure?" And she said my name. They were two women officers. They said my name, and I was like, "Yeah, that's me." They said, "Well, that's you." And they hand me this paperwork, and God was like, "I knew in order to remove this woman from my life, she had to show me who she was herself. It couldn't have been another person. It couldn't have been a friend. It couldn't have been another family member telling me negative things about my sister because I wouldn't have believed it. She told me herself in this paperwork. She made up so many things. She got my mother to sign it. She got her boyfriend to sign it. All lies in this paperwork, just all lies because I hadn't even talked to her. We didn't say a word to each other. I'm sitting at the house waiting to when she's gonna come back and so we can talk, so we can get this resolved and get it done. But no, she did that, and God said, "I knew this was what it was going to take to get you to remove her. Now she's removed from my life forever." She tried to make me homeless. Thank God I had friends that loved me. Thank God I had genuine friends that loved me. That's the wonderful thing about myself. I've always been like that. I've always been like that, a genuine person. So I moved out of there, stayed with my friend for a couple weeks, got my own place, started up my business in another place. Changed, shut down that particular business with her and I, started my own again. I had to do it again. These are all lessons that made me strong, made me awaken even more to who I am today. I had to, that was really tough because my sister, I loved her more than anything in my life. So it was very difficult. That was a very difficult time for me. And like it's called flying monkeys, what narcissists do. They go around and tell everybody lies to try to get them on their side. You know what I did? I didn't respond to anybody. I didn't need to know the lies that she was telling everybody because I knew the truth. So I didn't care what she said. It didn't matter to me. All of it made me stronger. I used to always ask God, I'm like, how come I'm not wealthy yet? Because he was preparing me. Because if I became wealthy any time before now, before the age I am today, I would have lost it all, either from divorce, uh, even joining my business with the narcissist, joining my business with my sister. I would have lost it if I would have joined if this business that I created with my sister would have made millions. I would have lost it all. Every single spending on lawyers trying to get her out. If it was making millions, it would have been hard as hell to get her out. That wouldn't have man. It was a very difficult time, but it was a needed time. Now I'm in a space. Oh no, I got one more story. I had my brother. I have a brother that's on my dad's side, right? Him and I were close for years. You know, I mean, well, we didn't know each other growing up, but at this particular time, him and I were back together talking about 5 6 years, right? I was helping him along, helping him get his finances straight and blah blah blah, right? And one year we had a family reunion down where he lived, and so I went down there early, a couple of days early before the family reunion started, visited him and his family. And I was like, all right, cool, bro. We're going to get together at the family reunion and we're going to, talk more there. And gave him a hug and I left. And he said, I'll see you there. I'll see you there. I said, okay, I'll see you there. I got there to the family reunion. Guess what? He didn't even show up. Not only didn't he show up, he didn't even call and tell me that he wasn't showing up. And now I didn't call him and say, hey, where you at? And all this other stuff. No, I just said, you know what? I don't do that. So I said, okay, he'll call me in the next couple of days. I didn't hear from him for a month and a half, almost 2 months. He didn't call me or nothing. But on social media, he was posting his normal posting and his stuff, cooking or whatever he was doing like it was normal. You know what? I didn't say anything. I now let people show me who they are. I don't go by a person's words. I go by their actions. So when I saw him doing that, he was telling me I didn't matter. I didn't matter if I was in his life or not. It was fake. All I did was just believe him. And I never talked to him again. Just didn't even talk to him again. We had a joint I had him on my family plan of my YouTube thing. So after about a month and a half, 2 months, I removed him. Do you know he texted me that same day? Hey, bro. Hey, man, I was supposed to call. I said, hey, thank you for your apology. Take care. Because you think about what if I was in a one time when he was younger, he was in a die-hard situation. He was going through a separation with his girlfriend and his young son at that time, and he was where I was at. And I got him a plane ticket. I had him stay with me. I did everything to help him, right? I did everything. I couldn't even imagine, hey, yeah, bro, I can help you and just hang up and disappear and not help. I couldn't even do that, but he did that to me. But that's okay because I removed him. Now that can never happen again because I don't allow it. Today, thus far in my awakening journey, now I have 100% peace in my life. I have no negative people. I'm debt free, a successful business, and creating this business right here. This is right here. This Sixth Sense, this is my main. What I really, my goal is to make this global because it will change people's lives. It will change people's lives forever. It will, you just, you'll put up, I have boundaries in my life and it doesn't, I understand I can now be me. I can still be the trusting me. I can still be the humble me. But now that I know narcissistic people exist, narcissists, they believe that what they do and how they speak and their actions are normal because that's all they know. That's their weakness. They don't know, even if a narcissist was listening to this, they don't know what I'm talking about. They don't know what to change because they think it's normal. They are now obvious to me. It doesn't matter who they are. Even if I decide to date, a woman or sex is not first. It's not going to be first. Sex is so far down the line. If she's in debt, we're not dating. If she still has problems or she's doing certain things or saying certain things, we're just not going. It's not happening. It doesn't matter if they know or not. It doesn't matter why. I am only special. This is what I really understand now. I am only special to me. I'm not special to nobody else but me. I am one of billions of people on earth, one of billions. I'm only special to me. I used to think because I look good, I had a nice body, a nice job, the woman thought I was special, and I could no, I'm only special to me, and that's okay. That's 100% okay with me. I'm only special to me. Now, like the title of this video, my awakening journey thus far, I'm in a place of peace, a perspective of life that many don't even know exists. The gifts that God has blessed me with, the gift of sight. I used to always hear about God blessing people with the gift of sight, but you don't really know what that means unless you go through you got to go through the suffering first. And I went through a lot of suffering, financial suffering, removing family and friends, because the people that wanted to hurt me and destroy me, they didn't want to let me go because they knew once I was gone, I was never coming back. Never coming back, ever. They know that. Once I'm free, that's why never, if you're with a narcissist, never get yourself emotionally tied with a narcissist, sexually, financially, tied up into some kind of legal business, marriage, because they will try to destroy you because they don't care about their own lives. They don't even care. Their sole purpose of a narcissist is to destroy the person they're with, destroy them. Even if they destroy themselves along with it, they don't care. What a horrible life to live. That will never happen to me again, ever, because I can see them coming from a mile away. I don't have to change myself. I used to think when women would do that to me, like try to destroy me like that, I used to think I would have to change myself and become hard and be just ruthless. No, no, I don't. I can still be me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they are, what it could be man or woman, family. To me, it doesn't matter. Like I had a family reunion recently and I didn't go because I didn't want to see my sister. It was too soon. People calling me, hey, your sister said this and that. I don't care. I don't care what she's telling you. You guys don't know. I didn't even explain myself. I said, I don't want to talk about it. She can tell all the lies she wants. It doesn't matter to me because I know the truth. If people, the smart people would realize if you have a person that's constantly talking about another person to you, understand this: if you share your information with that person that's talking about other people, they're sharing your information too. My sister had a 20, 30-year relationship friend. She owned her own business, gave my sister a job. My sister was too busy talking on the phone, not doing the job right. She was having talks with her. She was getting ready to fire her. You know what happened? You know what my sister did? Fake the injury. Start doing LMI claims and all this other stuff. Just lying. She wasn't hurt. Dragging on for a couple years. It was horrible. I'm like to myself, you're doing that to your friend. This is before she did it to me. She was showing, I mean, she showed me all her life who she was. I was like, damn, that's your friend of fucking 30 years. And she was doing her a favor by hiring her on the phone 24 hours a day on the phone. And I remember when I stayed with her before I finally left, she would listen to my phone calls. I remember I would be in my room and I would notice I would hear sounds around my door. I'm like, is she listening to my phone calls? And then I would come home and go into my room. I'm like, I'm seeing shit moved around. I'm like, she going through my room? Yes. I thought I was tripping. I'm like, no, she's not going through my shit. Yes, she was. Listen to my phone calls. And I remember one time I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and she thought I was in my room with the door closed. I was in my room talking to my friend about something about the business at a particular time, and she thought I was talking about her. Listen, she texted me while I was on the phone with my friend talking about this. talking about the business. And I was like, it was like, it kept interrupting because I wasn't taking the phone off my ear to look to see who was texting me. And I finally did it because there was so many texts coming through. It was her texting me. She was in the next room texting me about my phone call that I was having in my room with the door closed. I said, hey man, let me call you back. I said, are you listening to my phone calls? Oh yeah, you're talking really loud. No, I'm in my room. You're in your room. You can't hear me unless you was next to my door. It was crazy. Now I'm in a place of total peace, and it's quiet. The word lonely is not right because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I can concentrate on my business. My energy attracts the right people in my life because I don't accept when this is the wonderful thing about being 100% peace. It's easy to see and hear the people that do not have 100% peace in their life. It's easy to see. I was at the store today, matter of fact. I was waiting for this particular store to open so I can get some stuff for my business. And I met this older lady. She was in her 80s because she told me. And I was waiting outside for the store to open. I was just kind of sitting out there looking at the beautiful sun coming up, and it was just a warm day today. And she got out the car. She's like, hey, isn't it a beautiful day today? I said, yeah, it's very beautiful today. And she's like, it's beautiful really every day. I said, you know what? You're right. It's beautiful every day. And she could feel my energy. This tripped me out today. So we go in the store. I was like, yeah, I was telling her, I said, you know what? I appreciate every day now. I said, the older I get, I appreciate every single day now. And she stopped. She was like, you know what? There's a light about you. I could see a light with you. And I'm thinking to myself, she can see me? How could she see me? I'm thinking it's in my mind. And she's like, she brought up God. And I was like, because that's how I live my life. I live my life as if God is walking with me every day. I don't believe in religion. I believe in God. So I believe in, so every day I do things. I act as if God's there watching me because he is. That's how I live my life. And when she was talking to me like that, it was blowing me away. I was like, wow, she can see me. She can see the light. And I remember just driving home after that, and I was like, that's exactly what she sees is exactly how I feel inside. And I'm so thankful for it every day. And this is just now. This is just my point up thus far of awakening because it's unlimited. It's like the perspective of capitalism. There's an unlimited amount of perspectives of capitalism. The whole world is illusion because everybody's perspective of the world is different. You can ask 10 different people, hey, what do you think about the world? Every single person will give you a different answer because they have their own perspective of the world. That's what makes the world an illusion. Oh, the Democrats, the Republicans. Hey, listen, I'm not into any of that. I don't care what that is. I only allow, and there's very few people in my life now because that's what I allow. It doesn't need to be a big circle. My eating is different. My body is different. Everything's different. I really hope this video can really help a lot of people out there that are trying to also look for peace. Hopefully, me describing my journey, what I've gone through and going through, still going through the suffering. The suffering is part of it. The suffering, it's to remove the things that were preventing me from peace. I thought I had to deal with certain things because they're family. No, you don't. You don't. That's a lie. That's a myth. If you're in a relationship, and this is the best thing I can tell you, if you're in a relationship with a person that's treating you horrible, if you want, let me tell you what to do to build you enough energy to escape it. Stop sharing your body with them. Stop having sex with them. That energy will transmute because you'll start to wake up because it's confusing you. It's confusing you. When I was getting so just before I was leaving to come back to my home state, I remember God telling me, "Stop having sex with her. Stop." Now these are not words. So let me give you an example of how God speaks to me, right? Now say God in your mind. Say God in your mind. Now nobody hears it. Nobody can you can't prove that you said it, but you know you said it. That's how God speaks to me like that. That's how he speaks to me. And it's not necessarily English. It's something that I just know. So towards the end, I just stopped doing it. And I remember the first time that I did it, she flipped out. She was going crazy. What do you mean we not going? I mean, just going crazy. I'm gonna go sleep. If you ain't gonna give it to me, I'm gonna go. I mean, just going crazy. And I was like, well, you're already doing it anyway. I didn't say this to her, but I'm like, you're already sleeping, cheating on me anyway, so it don't even matter. Exactly, it don't matter. It didn't matter. And it gave me the strength to start seeing what I couldn't see before because I needed that sexual energy to stay within me. And I was releasing it unknowingly. If you're in an abusive, mentally, physically abusive relationship and you really need the strength, it's really hard for you to get the strength to leave, stop sharing your body with them. And I promise you, you'll start to get the strength to leave. You'll start to see that what they're doing is unacceptable. It's not acceptable. You guys have a good evening.